It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you today to share some of the work we have done in Quebec City. And I want to say first, this is not a I presentation or it is a we presentation. It's a group effort, it's a community effort, it's a stakeholder effort. So if I use I, it's not because I did something, it's because I'm reporting only what has been done in the community. My presentation is like a storytelling. I will just give you some facts about Quebec, our love and hate story about winter, what was happening before 1990. I choose that date because around 1990 a lot of things started happening in Quebec City. The June 2015 decision about our bid for the Olympics, then our two strategic marketing plan for Quebec, our 400th anniversary and beyond, because the ball is still rolling today. One thing I must say to you, I'm speaking today with a tourism perspective and background. This is the territory Quebec City Tourism covers. It's almost 100 miles long by 150 miles from the St. Lawrence River to the Laurentian Park. Therefore, within this area, we can go from fishing, snowmobiling, bear hunting, to cultural activities within the heart of the old city. So our mandate is not only to sell the core of the city, it is to sell the global destination with a membership spread all over the territory, 80% of it being more urban, about 20% being green or white belt. Okay, let's see how we adapt to winter. Quebec is old. 1608 by a North American standard. It's an old city. And with all over the years, we overcome the obstacles of living in a northern city. The snow, the cold, and all Canadian cities through the years have developed great expertise with the challenge of living north. From street cleaning to outdoor activities, I saw what you have in Edmonton's part of it, and I think you have already a good offer, good products. It's the same in Quebec, but still it's a challenge, it's winter. And by the end of the 19th century, Montreal, Quebec City, other cities in Canada, and even St. Paul, Minneapolis had developed winter carnivals. But in those years, those winter carnivals were not for the local population. It was for the local population. It was not to attract tourists because there was almost no communication in wintertime. So to keep, let's see, some humanity within the city, they create those winter carnivals. And this is an example of a nice castle built in 1894 in Quebec City. Look at the size of that. It's we cannot afford to build type of castles like that today. It will be in millions of dollars. But let's ask ourselves, do we have a good relationship with winter? Do we dress properly? Honestly, I'm not sure that Canadians dress properly to adapt to winter. Maybe it's better today because of the new technology and so on. But in the urban communities in general, most of the people sometimes just walk with their shoes, no overshoes. They walk in the snow and they get a cold and blah, blah, blah. Is the Weather Network our planning guide? Okay? We are hooked to the TV, to the Weather Network. And does the Thursday night weather report has an influence on your weekend planning? I'm sure the answer is almost yes. You don't go outside if the Weather Network forecasts something bad. You will cancel your hotel reservation if there's a snowstorm coming in and so on. And that's a big problem. Right now, we want to enjoy winter, but at the same time, we create negative factors not to enjoy winter, such as the wind chill factor, okay? It's minus 14 outside, it's blowing a wind, they say it's minus 35, the chill factor. So in your mind, is it minus 35 or minus 14? And that's a big challenge, especially for the ski areas. You go to ski, the wind chill factor, there will be always a wind chill factor if you ski, right? So if you, it's minus 35 on the TV, what will be your mindset to go skiing? We should have more positive words to talk about winter, even in the winter reports. I would not say a joy of winter index, but I would say dress properly, be careful about the light, the sun, and so on, but to have positive words. Now I will go a quick survey of toward the years. From the 1940s to 1990, the main winter product around Quebec City was skiing. First resorts were developed in the 40s, Lac Beauport. I think it's then Stoneham in the 16, Mont Saint-Anne, and at the same time, new cross-country skiing trails, snowmobiling trails being developed. That was, I would say, the period where most of the winter activity was focused on skiing. In the 50s, the Chamber of Commerce and the tourism industry invented Bonhomme Carnival. In 1954, they designed the personnage. In 1955, the first celebration of winter. That event was created to offset the impact of no tourism in wintertime. So the hoteliers, the Chamber of Commerce, they started the event. It was funded by the private sector mostly, and through the years, the carnival grew to become the largest winter event in the world. Already in that period, we built our first arena or coliseum for hockey games. We developed snowmobile trails for snowmobiles. We had an NHL hockey team from 1972 to 1995. And in 1972, we formed a non-profit organization, Sport International, specialized in attracting to Quebec international sports events, mostly in wintertime. And overall, by the end of that period, I would say Quebec City was quite well equipped for winter. Outdoor recreational facilities, 2 hockey teams, 1 junior and 1 NHL, 3 ski resorts, large network of cross-country skiing, the second best in North America after Squaw Valley in California, and a large network of snowmobiling trailing, and a very successful world-class carnival and hockey tournament. So this gave us the taste to try for more. And that's when we started to think about, let's have the Olympics, the Winter Olympics in Quebec City. The green light to the bid was given by the city and the government in December. Quebec City was chosen by the Canadian Olympic Association in '92. And for the next 3 years, it has been intensive marketing and promotion and lobby of Quebec City as a host for the Olympics and as a winter destination. And I think that's where Quebecers start to listen and learn from third parties that we had a potential for winter which was much larger than snowmobiling, than skiing, and the traditional winter activities. So through those years, we host hundreds of media reporters, sports, general news, and IOC representatives, including presidents and vice presidents of various sports federations. So it was a showcase for Quebec in wintertime. So what happened on June 15, 1995 was the decision by the IOC regarding Quebec City. The decision was no, not, and we finished fourth. Okay, it was a very tough decision to learn of. It was also very, we had to be very humble at the same time because we lost that bid. But our mayor at that time, Jean-Paul Lallier, had a plan B. Plan B was, in two words, let's keep working in attracting events and activities, and let's keep making Quebec a more enjoyable and interesting destination in wintertime. So at the same time, a few days after the decision, there was a meeting called of all the tourism industry stakeholders in Quebec City. And I say tourism stakeholders because that meeting was only among tourism industry people, hoteliers, travel agents, air carrier, ground operators, people linked to the tourism industry. Everybody debriefed on their feelings and the potential of Quebec and so on, and the outcome was quite positive. Say, yes, we lost that, but we have potential. We must roll our sleeve, do it a different way, and be successful. And there was a willingness to go ahead as a team to make it successful. And that's the team. The team includes Quebec City Tourism and its membership, 4 local economic development agencies. I've showed you the map. Quebec City is only part of it. There's 4 regional zones, and each of those zones have an economic development agency. The City of Quebec has a municipal government, the provincial government ministry responsible for the metropolitan area, the Ministry of Tourism, Parks Canada, and the private sector in general. So this became the team to think more about potential of developing tourism in Quebec. We formed a new working committee within the Quebec City Tourism. We took a pragmatic step-by-step approach. We didn't have the time to have a planning process. We were very much action-oriented, so it was a step-by-step, very pragmatic, very opportunistic approach about the project. And it was the beginning of a collaborative process between all stakeholders. Very important because Quebec City is not a producer. Quebec City Tourism is not a producer. It's not a builder. It's not. It is only a link between those who have ideas and those who may have the funding. And we had also an open mindset for innovation and risk management. We had to think out of the box. Timing was perfect because at the same time, we just got access to a new provincial funding program of $2 million per year for the next 3 years. And that money was provided by the province to Quebec City Tourism with, not a deal breaker, but with some terms and conditions. 50% marketing, 50% product and event development. So for the first time in our life, we had some seed money to support initiatives from private sectors or group within the community to develop winter. And for the zones, the various zones, the maximum contribution was $40,000 per year. So it was quite small, but it was enough to support some successful projects. One of the first projects undertaken was the addition of a 3rd weekend to Winter Carnival. Winter Carnival has been always, for 50-some years, 2 weekends, two weeks, that's it, that's all. It took us a 1.5 years to convince the stakeholders of the carnival to go ahead with the 3rd weekend, and we agreed to pay for all the overhead costs generated by this addition. And we chose not to extend it in February, but to extend it in January, at the worst of the winter season, where nobody is in the street and so on. And in those days, the occupancy rate of the hoteliers were around 25 to 30% globally. Today, that first weekend is around 80%. So we really stretch the economic impact of the Winter Carnival. We tried and failed on some things. We did ice-breaking sightseeing tours on a tugboat. Okay, very popular because on a tugboat you are almost at the level of the river and the ice. You can almost touch the ice. And it was very popular with the Japanese clientele in wintertime. However, the company moved the tug to Newfoundland for the oil drilling business, so we lost the tug, so we had to shut down the project. Another one was with the ice canoe racing teams, was to organize sightseeing tours on ice canoes on the St. Lawrence River and to stop on an iceberg, a small one, to have a IT or a shore lunch and then to roll back to Quebec. Again, very popular, but the minute the team who have had that ID decided to become, let's see, more seasoned fathers and so on, to have a more quiet lifestyle, well, the project went down. But those were great ideas about thinking out of the box, things you can do to make winter interesting. It took us 3 years, but we convinced Air Transat to have a direct non-stop flight in wintertime to Quebec City. The first year, they didn't believe in it. We end the books at 97% of the seats sold. So next year, we had 2 flights and a bigger airplane. And the project is still on, and it is now part of the reality that it is normal to have direct non-stop flight in winter from France. And it was fun because in those years, the Finnish people were start monitoring Quebec on the radar screen as a prime competitor for their prime market, which was France in Europe. So then we had more international competition coming to Quebec, snowboarding, ice climbing, second bid for the Olympic Games of 2010, but there I think we hit another brick wall, but that's a Canadian level. We learned from that. Ice climbing at the Montmorency Falls. The Red Bull Crash Ice in 2006, those crazy international skaters coming to Quebec. This, we were privileged. It was a decision of Red Bull to choose Quebec for its first event in Canada. Why? Because they were looking for a decor to organize something bold, and we were privileged to have in Quebec City a special event company, Gestev, who was well known around the cycling and snowboarding network around the world. So they got the contract and Quebec was chosen. Quebec liked it so much that it attracted almost 60,000 people at the first edition, that the company decided to come back because the city and the industry raised their hand and say, "Sir, we want you to stay in Quebec." Then there was a long-term partnership between the company and the city established and the tourism industry. And today we will host, in March, the final of 6 Red Bull ice race from around the world to Quebec City. Then we had the same company, Gestev, made a decision to build a jump in the core of the city for a big air snowboard competition. So they used the Cape, okay, and they built a huge structure, and this is what it gives at night with all the cameras and about 25,000 spectators. It's a TV event, but at the same time, you go there, you enjoy the lifestyle, city atmosphere, you're next to a restaurant, a bistro, a brewery, but you are at the same time celebrating winter. Pond hockey tournament, you mentioned that too, street hockey. That was the idea of 2 guys who had fun playing hockey on ice. They organized a small tournament, 10 teams. It grew to 200 teams this year, including 1 from France and few from the United States, and it will grow bigger over the years. Winter that's my conclusion, it's an added value, but we need to groom our products to overcome perceptions that winter is cold. There's a lot of private initiative and projects that are worth to be supported both financially and technically. When I say private, because the public sector cannot carry on its shoulder everything. You need champions from the private sector, non-profit or profit organization to carry the ball. And now Quebec is moving ahead with bold moves to make winter even more fun by building a new amphitheater and planning a new indoor skating rink for international competition. And our special event bureau budget from the city went from 8 million in 2007 to almost 20 million budget this year. Key component of a successful recipe: leadership, long-term commitment, stability of funding resources. No special events are sustainable without public financial support. You cannot rely only on sponsorship to make a special event successful. Constant marketing and promotion, no peaks and valleys. And that's why we switched to the 3% hotel tax in 2007. What's next? Well, next to us we have Le Massif, a ski area which opened in the 1990s, but it was bought a few years ago by one of the founders of the Cirque du Soleil. And he's making it as a world-class ski and outdoor winter experience à la Cirque du Soleil. It will be a world-class, and the fun thing for Quebec City, it is next door, and everybody who wants to go there must go through Quebec City to go there, so it will be good for the destination. We will have the first urban cross-country skiing of the competition in December 2012, a new hockey amphitheater by 2015, a new outdoor skating oval, but we don't know the year yet because the funding is not attached. Maybe a new NHL hockey team, maybe, because it's still a work in the process. And there's rumor that we may try again for a third time winter bid for 2026 or 2030. So that's what Quebec did over the years. It's been a group effort, strong support from the city government, strong support from the Quebec City stakeholders, a lot of innovation and great ideas by the private sector. From the small ones to the large ones, everything has been supported by the private sector. So thank you very much for your attention. Merci beaucoup.